Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Chrono Cross. Last time we took Nikki's path and also the Save Kid path. And we decided to check in on Lucia, whatever you want to call her name, back in the Viper Manor that we just managed to escape from, which gave us the idea to go to Hydra Marshes in this world, searching for both a life sparkle and any information about the Hydra that used to inhabit these Hydra Marshes. This time, with everything pretty much being done at this point, well, there's only one place left to go. A place where angels lose their way. This is the last thing we remember before everything started to become weird. Opasa Beach. What do we do now? That wasn't there before. This is the dimensional wormhole that connects the two worlds. They're making a pretty big jump here, but spoiler, they're not wrong. Approach this location and select Astral Amulet from the key items menu. That cutscene is skippable for any future attempts to go through there. All you have to do is hit the X button, or maybe it's the start button, either way. Press one of them and it'll skip through that cutscene so you don't have to watch it every single time. But it will play every time you transition between worlds. Body was split in two. Very strange feeling. That sounds like a very frightening feeling. Now we're in that other world, but you can't believe it. Well, now that we've done that, and this can only be done on the Save Kid path because, well, it's the only path that we get access to the Astral Amulet, and for some reason, it's the only way we can manage to get all the way to the other world. Of course, we didn't need it the first time, but whatever. Indicated in the top left, Homeward. Well, we're back home. Oh, it's you, Serge. Yeah, it's definitely home. Don't be going near the Hydra Marshes. Yeah, you don't want to run into that Hydra that's not dead in this world. Basically, the concept here is at some point, and they've already kind of alluded to it a little bit, there was a fracture point between in the timeline. That fractured into two parallel worlds where things are just ever so slightly different on each path. On the first path here, or on the first world, we gave this kid a Komodo scale that we got for, I think, talking to the fisherman over with his big sawfish. And on the other world, they were looking for a rainbow shell, which we didn't have access to, because they didn't know who we were. Please go in the building. So this is indeed home. I think your dialogue is a little bit outdated at this point, but yeah. This is indeed our hometown. She's still talking about going and talking to Lena. Speaking of which, I have Lena in my party. Wonder what happens if we talk to Lena. Sorry, babe, but I kind of replaced you with your twin. That girl looks like me. Something deep behind all this. You should have Serge explain it to you when it's all over. What, you're just gonna roll with this? Yeah, she just kind of rolls with this. She doesn't really acknowledge it at all. It's kind of stupid. It's very weird. I don't know what's going on, but good luck. I don't know about you, but I would probably be a little jealous if, you know, my significant other started wandering around with my identical twin. It would seem a little creepy. But yeah, I have no idea how much, because they never go into great detail to show it, which I've praised before as being an advantage, but I don't know how much we've told Homeward Lena. Another me? I wasn't a fisherman. Sounds like a dream to me. Another me living a different life. So you showed him my amulets. Don't want to know what he was doing, huh? The load off my mind. Yeah, if you remember when we came here the first time, he was hitting a bit of a midlife crisis, and he was wondering what would have happened if things had turned out differently and he didn't become a fisherman. So we gave him a little bit of closure on what he was worrying about. Not that there's any reward for doing that, we talked to the other him, so might as well talk to the other one and figure out what was all going on there. Wait, video game, go up the frickin' thing. Now, in the other world, we spoke to her doppelganger. Never knew you're the romantic type. I think I'll give the other me this. Yeah, one of the things that's hardest to, you know, ignore in terms of how a lot of events happen in this game is everyone just kind of accepts that I'm not insane and there is a parallel world and there are other people that are exactly like them, only slightly different, in a whole nother world that they've never been to and they can't see. Don't know about you, but if somebody walked down the street and was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go talk to your other twin, you know, your other identical you in another world, I'm going to run away from that person because that person is crazy. But in this game, everyone just kind of believes Serge. Well, I don't know, maybe it has something to do with the fact that he doesn't talk. Anyway, for talking to her after talking to both her initially in Homeworld, then talking to her in Otherworld, and then coming back here to Homeworld to talk to her again, we get a book of poems. And with that book of poems, all we have to do is head back to El Paso Beach before we get too busy doing other things. Hit the Astral Amulet again. Let's find out if it's X button or if it has to be start. I think it did it before I pressed start. I was spamming the X button ahead of time. Anyway, fast forward on. Jump back into the village. You'll notice that the world map music changes between the two worlds. So it's another indication, in addition to up in the corner there, to tell you that things are a little bit different. And let's show you that book of poems. Shabby book, huh? A message from the author. Good luck to me. And it's my own handwriting. That's one thing that's kind of died in the span since this game came out. Like when I went to elementary school, that's what they trained us on. We had a whole, you know, part of the curriculum was cursive writing, which the only tiny little bit of that I can do is a bastardized version of my signature, and that's it. But then again, I stopped attempting to do it as soon as they stopped teaching it to us, because I always just found it tedious. I could print faster than I could cursive write, because there's just too many extra swirls and curls. That, and I find it impossible to read now, because I don't know how it's supposed to work, but whatever. Can't accept this, wouldn't feel right. Look forward it until then. I'll give the first copy to you. I want you to have this. A rainbow shell. Well, this one, unlike the first one that we were given the opportunity to pick up and then had to give back, we get to keep this one. This is entirely endgame, and it is the first time that you possibly have access to one. Not that you can do anything with it for a while. It's probably... There we go. Okay, so you just need to hit the X button. Good enough. But yeah, we get access to that much earlier, and it's a nice little break. I don't think there's anything else. We'll just double back and talk to her to see if she has any additional dialogue. Life is short. Collection of my work. Never shown it to anyone. Say hi to the other meat for you. Yeah, sure. Already did and got our nice reward for that. Little mini exchange there, not a whole lot to it. Alright, Fossil Valley. The poor army is investigating still. You remember way back at the start, we came up here and couldn't do anything. They're still doing an investigation on something, and we're still blocked there, so we're stuck to the back half of the large island here. So all we can do is come back and go to the Hydra Marshes, and this time, well, the Hydra's still alive. Oh, you're with Lena. Sure, you'll be okay if she comes along. What, the dog wasn't good enough before? I don't know what you're talking about. The three of you, I'm sure you'll be okay. I'm not sure what blocks him from doing things before that he allows us now, other than the plot requires us to. But anyway, we can now run through here. And this side of the dungeon is a little bit different than the previous one. There are some items to pick up here again. But the general layout of the area is very much the same. Though, there is a... What the hell is that? There is a bit of a change when it comes to a lot of the enemies between Another World and Homeworld. Changes in HP, changes in drop tables. Some of them will be drastically stronger, some of them will only be slightly stronger. Now, why are you standing in daze? We don't have time to spare, let's just keep moving. Now, we were forced to stop and take a look at something. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but anyway. Now, I forgot to set up my notes ahead of time with what the enemies drop. I did it for part of my notes, but not all of them, apparently. Okay, terrible, definitely not seamless cut aside. We have Daggy Dwarf. There are two varieties of dwarves in here, and they each have the same drop table. They both have drop and steal table. It's kind of a dick move that they put these guys here, considering the only way you can get here is by saving Kid. Kid is the only thief in the entire game that we've had up until this point. Save for the dream sequence where we had a character we weren't supposed to have at that point. Never mind. Anyway, these guys have an Electro Bolt, Common Steel, and an Aeroblaster Rare Steel. Sadly, you can't possibly have a thief at this point in the game, so it's kind of moot. Anyway, we'll finish these guys off. They're not particularly challenging. They fall down. They are relatively powerful in terms of the amount of damage they can output, but as long as you kill them quickly, you won't have to worry about that at all. Yeah, they have nothing particularly interesting to drop. Now, we could use the Green Tinker to go up here and do a little more exploring, but I think we should go the other way first, and I recommend you do the same if you're playing along. Anyway, we saw that weird thing that was over here go this way, so let's do that. Go past the deep-fried shrimp. Something big's heading our way. You're not kidding! It's over by that treasure chest. Well, that was a very large flying bug. Yeah, this place is a little nuts. It's a lot more alive than it was in the other world. There's a brace. Nice of them to put that right there. Never mind me, I wasn't checking any of my setup. Definitely not. Wouldn't possibly conceive of doing that before you running into some strange creature. Strange looking creature, yeah, close enough. He's no Roger Bacon, but he's indeed strange looking. What exactly are you, sir? What is with that walk? Bubba Biba. Is Biba no place for humans? Okay. Well, it speaks, sort of. This is the battle against Biba. Biba is yellow innate. First things first, gonna give it a love tap here. Element, turn green on Surge. So Surge can do a little more damage here. It also puts another green element on the field, basically meaning we're gonna do substantially more damage. There's the big damage. Leave it to Biba. Biba call friend. And there's another one. Yeah, leave it to Beaver. Yeah, leave it to Beaver. Yeah, clever. I always just found his whole shtick amusing when I was a kid. So Bush Basher, I'm gonna file that up on you. This guy will summon up to 4. The best choice you could have made here was to have killed this one first, but since it's already weak, I am going to hope that Lena can finish the job here, because he'll just call another friend. The more it calls, the more difficult the fight can get. You can, and I probably could have finished off the fight without even having to worry about it. Again, we will use that guy over there. The more of them that show up, I think the more money you get after battle, plus the more drops you get access to, so that's a thing. 3 is enough. Let's have Greco finish that guy off there. Also, the pun on Greco's name, or at least one of the puns on his name, is not lost on me, as Greco-Roman is a type of wrestling, and he is indeed a wrestler, so, you know. Alright, so yeah, he has access to elements too, Greco does, but his magic stat is so atrocious that you almost might not even bother. Like here, I have access to an element, we'll use a green one against a yellow on a full field, and it's a level 3 element, and it does 33. His magic is that bad. In fact, any of the attacking elements on him, I should probably take off and just put on healing elements in their place, because he's never going to use any of his attacking elements. It's just like the same as Lena. You're never going to use her as an attacker. And ooh, we got a rare one. Biba has an upheaval as a rare drop, which is a level 3 yellow element. That's the other reason why you want to fight more than just the one. Be sorry. Please forgive me. Has handed down the Biba family for generations. And no clip this time. I'm lazy. Biba Magical calls the Wingdipede. Okay. Best used in a wide open space. And I just realized that I forgot to do something. But it's not particularly important. As soon as you get the item, you're given a second to walk forward, and, well, this is a wide open space, kind of. So let's try that item that he gave us there. Where is it? Biba flute. This isn't the wide space I was talking about. Well, over here is a whole lot of nothing. There's nothing you can do around here. Up here, I don't like humans, but I don't hate them either. It's like, I just like strong beings. Strong as Mr. Universe or weak as Mr. Universe. Now, I don't remember if this is identical to what Specchio said in Chrono Trigger, but he had a very similar line. In this particular case, if you say weak, he just doesn't want to fight you. If you say strong, well, let the challenge commence. It's the same fight as before. I'll see you in a moment. No lucky drops this time. I give you the treasure behind. Hasta la vista, baby. Yeah, they each have lines from TV shows or whatever. And here we get our third Bush Basher, which would be our first if we didn't have access to a couple of lucky drops earlier on in the game, but that's fine. Anyway. They said something about a wide open space. Looks pretty wide open to me. But before blowing it, there's one thing that I forgot to do that I'm going to go do off screen, and then I will see you right here in a moment. Okay, we're back. I'm not going to tell you what I did, because it'll become apparent in a little bit. Anyway, I would throw on that upheaval element, and if you got more than one, equip more than them, because that's probably going to be beneficial. Just a thought, though. Biba flute. Go ahead and blow that. This is indeed a wide open area. And it attracts the Winnipede. Fun! That is what Biba said it would do. What does this accomplish? Smaller than you thought. It's freaking gigantic! This thing's huge! Yeah, try feeding it something. Lena's over there. Just throw her at it. Looks like snack. Apparently it didn't like whatever he had on him, beef jerky. And we have boss time! Winnipede is green innate, and ideally you would... Actually, I think I do have turn yellow, but I decided not to throw... What? Do I have turn yellow? I don't think I put turn yellow on. No, I didn't put turn yellow on. I don't think. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Just attack the damn thing. This guy is going to inflict a lot of statuses against us. So let's just, well, not a lot. He's going to inflict poison on us. He's green-innate. To everyone's surprise, he uses poison. As part of his mainline attack, we have no antitoxinal caps on this path because, well, we didn't go up the bluffs and didn't have a chance to fight the gobbledygooks. And they hit all of us with poison. Fun! So yeah, just keep beating up on this guy. Other than the poison, there's not really a lot to worry about. A critical hit from someone who is really, really physically weak. Probably doesn't help the fact that I didn't give her an upgraded weapon, but not a big deal. Let's first off have Surge do a couple of attacks here, and then use a healing element to try and get some of that green off the field there. It's not going to get any off right yet, but we'll have Leko use something, anything, it doesn't matter. Sure, probably the best thing you could use. I don't think it's going to do any damage, but it'll help the field effect. And then upheaval. Even though it's flying, and this is an earth-based attack, it still hits it. I'm trying to remember what else this guy does. If you leave him alive long enough, he can use Arrow Blaster, which is level 4 element, green. But yeah, that's it. He drops an arrow saucer or a piece of leather. And we're poisoned. You're probably going to want to make sure you have some antidotes to heal that before coming in here. Oh, look at that. I need to heal you. I didn't have enough healing elements set up. Oh well. Oh. Foothold could give way at any moment. Avoid passing through the middle. Okay, fine. No middle it is. But as I showed you before, there's nowhere else around here that we can go. Now it forces you to walk around here. But if you decide to avoid common sense, you fall in. And you land on a giant octopus that's been trapped in here for who knows how long because it's too big to get out. Okay then. This game is weird. Hey, treasure chest. Hey, recover all. I'll take that. Put that on Lena because it sure isn't going to do a hell of a lot on Greco, that's for sure. We'll replace one of the heals with it. Very nice reward there. Now, there's something else here. A caged fairy. Well, that's what the dialogue box said. You can't just leave her trapped like this. It's kind of hard to tell, even with the little bit of upscaling of the remaster, but there is a fairy in a little cage, like a Tweety bird cage, basically. Hmm? And who might you be? Are you the fairy? Nope, not the fairy. You were going to eat the fairy. Been years since I wrapped my sweet tentacles around succulent flesh. Also, they spelt human wrong, but probably to go along with his dialect. Find main course. Yes, oh, it's a her. Sorry, Madame Pentapus. I guess for the 5 tentacles. One battle after another. That is indeed what we're doing, and we're trapped in a hole with no way out. No choice but to fight. So let's fight. This time we have a relatively unique fight. This girl is blue innate. And for winning this fight, we'll get a nice reward regardless. The boss has this counterattack set in mind if you use red elements and does a boatload of damage. So avoid using red elements unless you know you're going to finish it off. I believe you have it, so we're going to attack a few times here. And we're going to... Where did I put it? I thought I had turn red on you. Well, nuts that, I guess. You have the blue one. Did I put it on Surge? That would be unideal, but survivable. I put it on you, because apparently I'm smart. Yeah, don't target the Pentapus, target Surge with it to give Surge a little more damage output. The other thing you'll notice is all of my characters have red in the grid. The reason why they have red in the grid, in this case in the form of tablets, is so that we'll always be able to try and modify the field effect to make it as red as possible to increase the amount of damage we can do. And, well, in addition to that, we can always heal ourselves as well. Alright, so Lena with a very weak weapon is going to do no damage in this fight. Here's Whop. That doesn't feel nice. Now that's going to do a little more against Surge because I managed to turn him red there. So let's do another tablet on Surge, keep him healed up. Yeah, she's got a really powerful counterattack, so don't use the red elements, just use turn red, and then physically attack to get your way through here. The other thing we're going to want to do is keep up the healing and set up tablets so that we can clear that field effect, and that's pretty much the extent of the fight. The attack pattern is that Whop element, and then it's going to use 4 attacks in a row. So we're not worried too much about the field effect there. So let's just go straight in for the attack here. Now it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's sagging a little bit there. Guess we'll heal Greco, and then we've got a fully red field effect. I'm going to do a little defending here since your next attack should be a physical one anyway, just so that we have some stamina left to get through the rest of this fight. And then we're going to go for the clothesline. Now, there's a different formula for determining damage, and I think I've alluded to this before, depending on whether the tech is supposed to be weapon-based or magical-based. In this case, I believe all of his techs are physical-based. Being physical-based, they are a combination of magic stat and physical stat, or like physical attack stat. So this is going to do substantially more damage than you might expect coming from Greco, who has no magical stat at all. So yeah, some nice damage there. And oh, my turn red, you'll notice on Surge it's worn off there, so we don't have that anymore. So let's try and finish this off before it gets around to its big powerful attack. Didn't, which is great. Now the game could be really nice and make up for the rare, or the item that I missed up last time, or not last time, but a few episodes ago. Because this guy, even though it seemed like a boss fight, doesn't give a star level. I didn't get it. Common drop is an Aqua Ball. Rare drop is another Ice Blast, which you could, at this point, have 2 of them, depending on which paths you've taken and how lucky you've gotten. But let's try and get this fairy on out of here. You were surprised, huh? You may notice that the sprite there is a little familiar to that ghostly afterimage that we saw at the start of the area. Your name is Razzley, and you come from Water Dragon Isle. You are indeed a fairy. Old fishermen in the village sometimes spoke about it. It says that because of a strange dry spell, the island's water sources dried up. Oh, right, you're from the other world, so I wonder what's going on in this world. What in fairy godmother's name you're talking about? To be honest, that's kind of amusing. We'd better explain. Well, I don't want to listen to the explanation, so they fade out, and she completely believes me without a second thought in the world. Indeed we have. Surge is originally from this world. Everyone else that we've had join our party up until this point has indeed been from the other world. We traveled through a wormhole. We need that Hydra humor. Sure is a Hydra in the forest. Saw it with my fairy own eyes. Yeah, that's her little shtick she's got. It's a very inconsistent accent. That's when Big Noses caught me and threw me in here to become Pentapus Bait. Big Nose. You'll see them a little bit more later, and we fought one set already. She's referring to the dwarves. I want to go home to my island, but it's too far for me to fly on my own. How about taking me with you? And yeah, teehee, yeah. Razzley is one of the unique party members to the Save Kid path, because if you don't come and grab her now, you are not going to be able to get her. This is the only way of getting her in the game. Her stats are nothing amazing. She is a magical character. She's actually not too bad though. We're gonna swap out you for you. And what else am I going to swap right now? Now, you can do this. I'm going to do this for one specific fight, but right now I think I'm going to leave Greco in the party. Alright. Now I'm going to swap over some elements, but if you take a look here, the thing that I went to go get that I forgot to pick up ahead of time was an iron rod for our new rod wielder. Be careful, there was one walkthrough I was looking at on GameFAQs that had it listed as her weapon type was a staff. Staff is a separate weapon type in this game. She is a rod user, not a staff user. Because of what we learned on Guile's path, rod wielders can multi-target with their fierce attack. So this can be quite valuable in this area. And as far as the rest of it, I will equip off screen and I will see in a moment. Okay, we're back. Let's take a quick look at what I did here. Copper helmet, silver earring does exactly, I'm pretty sure it's the same percentages as it was in Chrono Trigger. I believe it's a 25% increase. Don't quote me on that because I didn't look it up, but I'm just guessing. It does increase it in battle. It doesn't increase it outside of battle, so you won't notice a difference in your HP there. Sight scope gives you some additional accuracy, and since you're a rod wielder, we want you to have as much accuracy as possible. As far as elements, I haven't really done a lot of going over what elements I'm equipped with. The bottom level is going to always be full of healing elements, and then later when we get access to more of them, buffs. Right now, the only buffs that we really have access to are the turn elements, so I stick the turn element of whichever character has that same element. So in this case, Razzley's green. I give her turn green so that she can turn someone else green, and we can kind of get some more help out from that, so do a little more damage. And then next level, I just, depending on what type of character I've got, usually they're attacking elements of different colors so that I have a different option. In this case, I have extra bush bashers, so I put them there. I put a magma bomb. Usually I like to have a relatively high ranking all targeting attack. In this case, the only opportunity I have to do that is magma bomb. And then usually their highest level is reserved for the strongest element I have of that particular color that the character is. Over here we have buffs, healing, more healing because he has terrible element power, and yeah, more of the same for him. And Surge, more of the same. Some other elements. Revive usually goes on either level 1 or level 2. And what else? Yeah, in this case, I don't have a really powerful white element to put up there, and a lot of the enemies we're fighting are yellow, so I put a green one there so we can take advantage of that. All right. And now we can climb on out. Where does this take us? It takes us up here. This is the only other way of getting over here without using the green tinker. So it allows you to get through there if you don't have it. We do have it, so we can make use of it, but anyway. Arrow saucer, boring. Let's see if I can get a lucky drop from these guys. So they might be the different variety, and in which case I will show it off, even though it's basically the same. So there's Daffy. Was it Daggy that I showed off the first time? They're all identical. Nothing really changes in the fight. So anyway. The one thing that is missing from this game, in my opinion, is because of how the enemies often appear on the field, sometimes close together, sometimes further apart, the area of effect attacks that we got from Chrono Trigger, they are unfortunately a little bit missing. Like, I would have liked if an element like this would maybe be able to do a little bit of damage to Poseidon. It wouldn't do full damage to everyone, but I don't know. It's just a thought. Clothesline? Sure. I know I show off these enemies and then I nuke them before they get a chance to get a turn, so I don't really show what they can do. Later on, this won't happen as often. Now, because we didn't have Razzley in our party when we got our mini stat up, she gets her mini stat up now, the first time that we get in, because everyone else is already caught up on that. So if I had brought other characters into the party, I could have gotten the other, like, their mini star ups as well. But most of the enemies around here didn't get a lucky drop there. Tablets. These are different dwarves than is listed in my walkthrough. Okay, well, maybe you can't get electro bolts and arrow blasters. Based on my my notes and the walkthroughs I've been checking, you should be able to, but oh well. These guys are Quaffin. These are the same enemies that we had to pull an enemy in front of in Shadow Forest. These guys, however, are a little bit different, and as far as I'm aware, these guys have a Bush Basher common drop and an Arrow Blaster rare drop. They are also a little more powerful here than they were at the previous location, as we're a hell of a lot more powerful now too. Ow. The amount of HP gained is substantially less. Just looking at Razzley's HP, she's only got 3, or is it 8 more HP than she had in the menu. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Anyway, you'll want to fight both groups of these guys and hope for the rare drop. It's kind of the only reason we're here. Go for that clothesline. But yeah, if the enemies get a bad AP roll, meaning you have to do a lot of attacks before they get their turn, there's not really much I can do. It's all down to luck how many turns you get before they get to go. There's another Bush Basher. We'll take it. Okay, I fought the other one too. No rare drop. Razzley keeps getting HP, so it's hard to compare the amount of HP that she has versus the amount that... Yeah, it says it does, but it doesn't do it by a hell of a lot if it does. Just gotta stop gaining HP here so I can be sure. Anyway, there are some dwarves over there. There's more dwarves down here. Lots of dwarves around here. But we're running a little bit long for today, so I will hold back and we'll hit the save point there before we move on. If you go over to the dwarves in the top right, you will initiate a boss fight. So before doing that, we kind of want to head down and explore the rest of the area. That's pretty much all the time we have for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.